Hello guys and welcome back to this channel. I'm your host Idi Kanobut and this is Isaac News. So very interesting news I'm bringing you right now, and that would be from our own dear person, a man who has made this country proud in the person of Mr. Innoson. So very recently the Innoson Vehicles Manufacturing Company had commissioned or unveiled a fleet of cars that are gas powered. So Innoson Motors has, released a fleet of gas-powered trucks. We have gas-powered cars. We equally have gas-powered buses. This is revolutionary. Okay, this is something that we have expected. So give or take about 2 years ago, the federal government in its NGEP, that is its National Gas Expansion Plan, had begun to, set up infrastructure to enable Nigeria transition from being heavily dependent on oil to also being dependent on gas. Why? We have over 206 trillion cubic feet of natural proven gas reserves. Now, I don't want to dwell there because that's a whole new video talking about our gas and what proven gas reserve mean and the potential that exists, in the gas sector. So, in case you don't know, the government had declared this decade from 2020 up until 2029 as the decade of gas. So a lot is going to happen, in this period. But back to IVM. So IVM had unrolled this. So like I was saying, the federal government, in its national gas expansion program, had begun to incentivize and to hint on the public that we should begin to get gas-powered vehicles, gas-powered trucks, gas-powered cars, and gas-powered buses to ply our roads, as that will be a good alternative to, high petrol demand. As the country begins to brace up to embrace fuel subsidy removal, which is going to happen, maximum by June this year, because the PIA Act, which is the Petroleum Industrial Act, does not give room for fuel subsidy to be a thing by the second half of the year. So the fuel subsidy must be removed by the first half of this year. That's why the presidency went ahead to secure an $800 million grant from the World Bank in order to, act as a shock absorber or palliative to try to help the economy transition into a period where we're no longer subsidizing fuel. So, the Minister of Finance had gone ahead, to obtain $800 million palliative from the World Bank. And, a lot of infrastructure are being set in place to ensure that this money is being, is being delivered in a way that is going to meet the poor of the poor to help, mitigate the effect of fuel subsidy removal. So not only that, the private sector under the leadership of Mr. Innoson is doing a massive job. So right now, Innoson Motors has unveiled a fleet of cars that run on gas. In case you don't know, Innoson Motors also has a project is running, to produce electric cars. So not only is he manufacturing diesel engine and petrol engine, he's also manufacturing now gas powered trucks, cars, and buses. So this is huge. This is very huge. Why am I saying that? Popular opinion has it that if we run on gas, it's going to be cheaper for the personal consumer. So let's presume right now I have a vehicle and this vehicle runs on gas. If it costs me about 50,000 naira to run my weekly activities, with petrol, if I'm using a gas engine, it's going to cost me about 30,000 naira to run the same activities, in the same time frame. So it's going to reduce my weekly cost by 20,000 naira. Now take that up to 1,000,000 naira. Imagine, these big trucks and these mega, delivery lines that have to run on the roads every day. So if they're spending if they have a budget of transportation for 1,000,000 naira in a quarter, that would save them give or take 400,000 naira, and they would run the same businesses, for 600,000 naira instead of 1,000,000 naira, which they would have previously run for a whole quarter of a year. So Innoson is not the only one trying to make this dream a reality. Also, we have the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, as IPMAN, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. They are also doing their best to ensure that we also transition from being petrol dependent to diversifying into gas powered engines. And how are they doing that? They want to set up over 30,000 gas filling stations across the country. Over 30,000 gas filling stations across the country. This is huge. Now, I want us to just take a listen to what the Minister of Petroleum, in the person of Mr. Timmy Prayer Silva, had to say in this private interview concerning gas expansion plan and some other investors' intentions to also, invest in gas engines?
Your Excellency, Nigerians have expressed much trepidation around the issue naturally of fuel subsidy removal. Where is the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari on this issue, and when can they expect it to happen, if it's going to happen at all?
This is a very thorny issue, and I want to tell you that Mr. President is one person that believes that the subsidy should wait because he's very concerned about the plight of the people. He thinks that the Nigerian people are going through a lot of hardships, that this is going to also add additional hardship to them. So until we're able to put certain things in place, he doesn't want us to take out the subsidy. So now it is a function of when we put some of those things that are required of us in place. For example, one of the things that is required of us is to give an alternative to the Nigerian. So we're trying to introduce CNG, LPG as alternative fuels, for example. So you have cars have to be converted to dual fuel. So you can have an option whether you want to use CNG or LPG for your fuel, or you want to use PMS. So if you drive into a filling station and you find that the price of PMS is too high, you can decide to just put in your LPG or your CNG, which will be cheaper, and you can at least drive on it. So this is the alternative that Mr. President wants us to introduce. And of course, also to ensure that we're able to work out some palliatives for the common Nigerian. So at this moment, I will not say there is a time frame. Everything is working now. We're trying to put the auto gas in place now. It's really advanced at this moment. I'm expected to take a memo to council any time from now. Even yesterday, I had a meeting with an investor who wants to build about 50 CNG stations across the country. There are a lot of people who are showing interest. And of course, you know that the federal government also has a fund in the central government, 250 billion naira fund to support investors in this sector. So all this is expected to come together to create this alternative. And of course, we are also working and talking with organized labor to ensure that we're able to work out the palliatives that they will want from the government. And once we're able to bring everything together, we don't want to do it like the previous efforts of just announcing the removal of subsidy because of our president. So he doesn't want that to happen.
He wants adequate preparation.
He wants adequate preparations, and he wants adequate care taken to ensure that the common man doesn't suffer from this removal of subsidy. And that's why we're trying to now take time to put all this in place before we announce the removal of subsidy. But as far as the subsidy removal is concerned, you and I will agree that it is not sustainable because the bill keeps going up. And if Nigerians are even saying that, there is a lot of opaqueness, there is a lot of criminality around subsidy, then that is the more reason why we should take it out. So I think Nigerians are on the same page with us as far as the removal of subsidy is concerned, because they are also saying that it's opaque, it's a lot of corruption around subsidy, and we are also saying yes, let's remove subsidy.
I really hope you listen to him carefully because that video dates back as far back as 2021. Okay, so when you heard him say that he doesn't know the time frame concerning subsidy for subsidy removal, that's 2021. Because right now we know that it's going to be removed in the first half of this year. But if you listen more closely, you would have heard him talk about investors trying to see how to build about 50 gas filling stations across the country. So these are private investors that are taking up the mandate to see how to help the country transition. So the government has put some things in place to incentivize private sector to come into this sector and develop gas powered stations that are going to help fill our CNG vehicles and our LPG vehicles. This is really interesting. Now, running on gas is supposed to serve Nigerians who that is commuters, people who use vehicles 40% of energy cost. Like I said, it's going to cost them about 40% less. So if you were running on $1 million, you're going to run on 600,000 naira. You're going to save yourself 400,000 naira. If that was your quarterly budget, your annual budget, your year, your let's say half of the year, but however, whatever the budget was, you're going to enjoy a 40% discount when we begin to roll this in. So let us say that the Nigerian economy spent let's give or take 2 trillion naira on, I mean, normal petrol consumption by normal consumers and people who drive. Let's say 2 trillion naira is what we spend. As we begin to implement, this, automatically it's going to also lead to more and more vehicles in the country. But then, so you may not see a very serious dip because more and more vehicles will come in, and some will be using petrol, and a few is going to be using gas. But as we begin to move into the decade, we're going to see a very serious dip in the demand for petroleum, for petrol, which is going to help, will I say, bring down the price. Because when the demand is decreasing, the suppliers, would not be able to peg their prices so high because gas will not be the new alternative. Then we are really, really hoping that there will not be a gas shortage, because if there's a gas shortage, it's going to keep the price of this PMS, sorry, it's going to keep the price of LPG and CNG very high. So right now, a lot is going on to make sure that there is a lot of gas in the country, which we can see with the AKK gas pipeline and some other power plants that are being built to show that, oh, there's gas. Then that the filling stations are not, will I say, overcharging. So there's a lot of framework being put in place. So with fuel subsidy in view, typically the cost of energy is going to rise up significantly. Why am I saying that? Current price of petrol right now, where I'm staying, okay, in Kolobasa, Akwa Ibom State, price of petrol right now in my place is about between 230 and 240 naira. I actually bought petrol today for 230 naira. So let's say, give or take, before subsidy is removed, fuel would likely go back to 185, or let's just say 200 naira. But by the time fuel subsidy is being implemented bit by bit, we're going to see a price surge to 400, maybe 450 naira per liter. Why? Because the landing price of a liter of petrol is about $1. And $1 right now is between 400 and 450 naira, on the, let's say, official, at the official exchange rate. So that's going to be the price of petrol. And we're talking about where there is no Nigerian factor that will come and, will I say, disrupt the flow of, will I say, business and try to make too much profit from it. So we're going to see an increase in fuel price. So this is an alternative that the federal government is putting in place to help, will I say, cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal. Now, with this incoming administration of Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has said over and over again that he really wants to run his economy on a credit system. Before you're so quick to jump and say, oh, that's bad. That's how all the nations you want to run their economy. Everything is credit based. So he really wants to implement a credit based economy so that citizens who earn, let's say, an annual income of give or take 2 million naira a month, a year, pardon me, 2 million naira a year is their annual income, can go and get a credit of, let's say, 5 million naira, and over maybe a 10-year period can begin to pay instrumentally, instead of trying to save 5 million naira to get what they want to get done. So credit system needs to be very much, will I say, integrated into the system so that people can go ahead on a credit base to go and get their cash changed from a PMS cars to auto gas cars. They need the money to purchase these kits, and right now with current market pricing where there is no high demand, it's going to cost between 400 to 600,000 naira to get your engines changed from PMS to gas. And so we are calling the government to, to incentivize and help people, even to subsidize it, so more people can get this job done. In fact, in Egypt, it is being subsidized so that a lot of their citizens can get these things done as they are seeking to, like say, put more and more gas-powered vehicles on their streets. So with a credit-based society, we can get this done, very fast. Now, if this project is properly executed, Nigeria would have turned a major challenge to an economic wealth for herself and her citizens. So while we are gradually developing our gas sector, so we are bringing in all these things to help boost the economy, to reduce fossil fuel emissions, because we're having a net zero emission by 2060. So we're doing a lot to pursue that target, okay, to have net zero emissions by 2060. This is super, 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 super amazing. And Innoson Motors is trying to help us to achieve that goal. So a lot is happening, okay? A lot is really happening to fast track, our development in this country. So please keep your ears on the ground. Stay updated with good news happening in the country. Read articles, follow this channel, share this information with those who care to know, and follow news handles that push good news. And please follow our dear brother, Mr. Ajuru Ngalale. I use some of his videos. I used a part of his video in this video. So follow him. I will drop his YouTube handle on my channel, will I say, description. So please do well to subscribe to the channel and go through the videos and the different interviews he has done. He has done a lot of interviews. They're going to give you, he has done a lot of interviews that are going to give you, will I say, first-hand information as to what is going on in the country on the part of the government to see how to lift us up from where we are right now in a quagmire. So thank you very much for listening through this long episode. It's very interesting that we have this dialogue from time to time. So this is where we're going to end for today's video. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment in the comment section till we see again. Remember to tell somebody that you're Nigerian. Godspeed.